Hey everyone, apologies that I'm a little late getting a video out this week. The wife and I finally had a chance to get away for much needed vacation, and I was certainly overly ambitious thinking that I'd have some time to get some editing done along the way. If you're new here, on this channel I track my family's progress towards financial independence, keeping us accountable to the goals we've set and enjoying the highs and commiserating on the lows of the market together with my viewers. Between those videos, I also explore a variety of personal finance topics that the real world simply necessitated that I learn. This is actually a great video to stumble across, as it will be the first in a new series exploring the basic rules of thumb that I wish my school had taught me and how they've evolved in the past decades. Sure, nothing in finance is truly a one-size-fits-all, as everyone's situation is different. But I think this one is probably about as close as you're gonna get. To sweeten the deal, I'll make this video nice and succinct, so be sure to smash the like button and let me know in the comments if you prefer this video length. Today we'll start with paying yourself first. One of the most basic and important rules of thumb in finance is to pay yourself first. Regardless of how much you make, everyone has expenses that they simply must pay for. Your housing and utilities, your car and gas, the food you eat and the clothes you wear, and so on. Whether these are monthly expenses or a one-time purchase, they all equate to less money in your pocket at the end of every paycheck. The way most of the population approaches money is savings and investments are simply whatever's left over after your expenses are paid. Unfortunately, we can all find more things to spend money on, particularly frivolous or impulse purchases. So most people end up living paycheck to paycheck, often with nothing to show for it. Paying yourself first simply flips this whole concept on its head. Before you can pay your bills, buy that new phone, save for that trip, or anything else, you set aside a portion of your income to build for your future. It's only after this money is set aside that your bills get paid and your discretionary spending can be considered. My favorite description of this concept comes from The Richest Man in Babylon, a book that was published back in 1926 by George S. Clason. In the book's parables, the mentor of the so-called richest man in Babylon explains, "I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. And so will you. If we don't, the money will quickly disappear and none of what we earn will be ours to keep." The book then lays out some guidelines for how much to set aside and explains that this money is to be put to work to grow your wealth. While it is obviously true that setting aside more money will help us reach our financial goals faster, not everyone can afford to set aside significant portions of their income without accumulating debt. If you are currently living paycheck to paycheck, you may not feel it is possible to set aside any of your income. However, I'd wager that we all have expenses that we can shave from our spending without significantly impacting our quality of life. And you may be quite surprised how little paying yourself first actually changes your ability to live the life you're already living. So I would challenge you to look for those opportunities to shave just a little bit out of your current budget. Although there are many resources that differ in their recommendations on just what percentage of your income you should be setting aside, some of those we'll discuss in this series in fact, the amount of money is much less important than the overall habit. If you can set aside 10% of your income, as the book suggests, when you're making $15,000, you certainly won't have any issue setting aside 10% when you're making $150,000. In today's automation age, it's actually easier than ever to pay yourself first. Most banks nowadays allow you to set up an account such that any deposits are automatically partitioned into separate accounts for saving, spending, and so on. And possibly the easiest version of this is if you work for a company that offers a 401k, simply having the money withheld directly from your paycheck and set aside in a retirement account. Not to mention the tax implications that this can have. In my opinion, automatic withholdings are one of the most powerful tools for securing your financial future. If the money never hits your bank account, it is so much easier to live without it feeling as though you're missing out. If you're not saving already or want to reach these more ambitious savings goals, consider leaning heavily into this. An easy way is if you get a raise, say 2 to 3% year over year, simply increase your contribution rate by that percentage and continue to live on the money you were already living on. You're already used to living on your current salary, so the change in your quality of life would at most be minimal. But the extra money that you set aside can absolutely change your life and your future for the better. If you want to see this plan actually in action, just consider your taxes. If you're a W-2 employee, your taxes are probably withheld throughout the year. While we could, of course, all spend more money if you had it, you probably didn't really notice that this money was coming out of your paychecks. You simply didn't realize you were missing it and lived your life as though that income never existed. But when April rolls around, for many of us, we're quite happy to then receive a refund. The concept is pretty much the same when we talk about automatic withholdings. And if you're actually withholding directly to a traditional 401k or an IRA, this will similarly result in an increased tax return as well. So there you have it, the most basic, but one of the most important financial rules of thumb. If you master nothing else about personal finance, but can manage to pay yourself first and invest for your future, you'll probably turn out all right. If you like this video, please be sure to let me know in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, be sure to turn that like button blue. If you want to see more of this series or join me on my own financial journey, be sure to subscribe, and if you ring the bell to turn on notifications, YouTube will ensure that you never miss an upload. I'll see you in the next one.